What's up everybody, Tom here with another video, and in today's video we'll be covering everything to do with the markets across the world right now, including the crypto markets, S&P 500, Nasdaq, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, gold, and more. Apple are now reportedly getting back into their vehicle plans, and it's a matter of when, not if. This is a big deal, and we know that of course it's sent some of the markets into a skyrocket. But what we should be really looking at right now, other than the crypto crash, is whether the market's going up on healthy pretenses. The Nasdaq was up, but not every other market was looking so good. Stay tuned to find out more. All right, guys, well, here begins our market recap for the markets closed 18th of November 2021. And as I mentioned in the intro, we don't necessarily have a market that's going up on everything going up. And the breadth is looking low. It was all about the FANG, and I'm going to call the new FANG NVIDIA, because NVIDIA deserves to replace Netflix from the gains perspective. What a stock, a beast. It's gone up after earnings, after the call. It likes the guidance. It's up 8.25%. It hasn't really broken out fully though, because what you'll notice is it did get to around the price it closed at, and then it sold off from that area. So just be a little bit careful here, but overall, if you're holding it as an investor, you're smiling all the way to the bank. Some other notables, Amazon, something we've loved here on the channel for a couple of weeks. We've covered it in several daily shows. We've covered why we like it. The technicals, fantastic. 4.14% here on the breakout. Fantastic stuff. Congrats to Amazon holders. And another one we cover all the time. We saw the breakout yesterday of that little bit of a downtrend. And Apple, 2.85%. Fantastic. This big news, I think, about the car, if it does come to fruition, it's going to probably be a big aspect for Apple to make money in. They've already got, of course, the CarPlay. But what they're going to really succeed in is, I think, when we get more automated driving. I mean, what are the two most important things going to be there? Comfort, ease of use, all the normal things with cars. And then the second most important thing is going to be the tech. And guess what Apple do well? They really do tech well, and they tend to do finish very well as well. So I'm excited for that. Would you buy an Apple car? Let us know in the comments down below. Nasdaq out with 1.07%, S&P 500 0.36, and the Dow Jones and IWM both down. Actually, IWM came back to the previous role reversal. We'll talk about soon. But the story for the session was really breadth. I mean, this is not a very good market from the aspect of every single one of the sectors going up. It's kind of like, oh yeah, semiconductors are great. Amazon's great in terms of consumer discretionary. And then, of course, XLK, the tech sector, is great. But other than that, everything else was weak for the session. And I think this is a tale of two markets. And we've seen this before. It was like during the pandemic, one of the things that happened was the FANG jumped out and went crazy, and all those big tech stocks did really well. But the rest of the market was left in the lurch, not really going up with it. So we come over here to the fear and greed, and it's not really anything new. We know that the market's still greedy from a lot of metrics. I'm not seeing anything here that shows us a superior weakness. I mean, you look at something like the PCC, the put call options. And while it is coming back down a little bit here, as you know, I use this as a contrarian indicator. If there's tons of calls expiring in the market, I usually see it as a potential negative sign here. We need lots less puts than calls, but we do have a lot of puts expiring this 19th of November. I don't really see that being weakness. And even if we scroll down here, it's like we're down on a bit of a trend curve. So we got into that extreme greed. We saw the market sell off a little bit. It then pulled straight back up, and this indicator is actually going down. It's really the breadth that I would be watching at the moment. If the FANG continues to outperform and smash the markets around and bring them up, then I do think that we're in a market that is not healthy, and the correction could be just around the corner in terms of actually something bigger deal. At this stage, though, the Nasdaq really looks quite strong. It's broken to a new all-time high, and we'll take a look at that later throughout the video. Let's have a look at the VIX. The VIX is also kind of saying, well, what's up exactly here? Because the VIX is risen. We're up 2.81% to a 17.58 reading. So the VIX is going up, and the market is going up. Not usually two things you hear together. Usually it's the VIX going down and the market going up, or the VIX going up and the market going down. And I think this is because there's some weakness in some of the sectors, and then there's a lot of strength in really some very specific sectors, the semiconductors and the technology. So the VIX will continue to watch that as it moves around. DXY, the dollar index, has continued to weaken here as well after hitting resistance. I think this is probably fine, and it's totally due. When you have such a large movement in the currency market, when it hits that first level of resistance, sometimes it overshoots, which this did. It then comes back down, finds a happy medium somewhere, maybe even the daily 20, and then bounces back up. We still have longer term plans here for strength in the US dollar and a big push towards maybe an interest rate hike next year in the US. Yes, I said it, that is actually what could happen if we get runaway inflation numbers like the US 10-year going up a lot, or the DXY going up a lot as well. And that's going to be something that I think a lot of people will be looking at throughout and discussing more next year than now. Gold maintains that it's pretty strong at this stage. We're still in the participation phase. We look towards that 1870, and we talked about that false breakout that occurred on the 4 hours. So we got the false breakout. Now we just want a closure above here. And if we get a closure above here on a higher time frame, 8 hour, etc., that's going to signal, we believe, that 1910 zone of next resistance. We're not bearish on gold, even if it comes down here. Overall, we're still bullish on it. We've detailed this so many times in the videos, but if you're new to the videos, consider subscribing. It really does help us out. Give us a like as well. And remember these particular months. So we've got the November to December of 20. We've got the November, December 19, November, December 18, and November, December into 17. All were bull rallies for gold. And this is a sector that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Take a look at the GDX. Take a look at some of the gold stocks. Some of them actually look pretty good on the charts. Silver was another one that's come down to the heavy support. This is good news and bad news. The bad news is there's a weakening here. And the weakening comes across. So you've got this series of lower highs coming through. You can see it. Look at it. Weakening. The good news is if you breach this 2520 plus, I'm very bullish on the technical aspect of this stock or this particular commodity. So silver needs to hold this zone. Let's hope it doesn't get underneath. It wouldn't really be ideal for it at this stage. Previous resistance acting as support. We don't want any more weakening, but you can't have bias on it. You've got to look for the confirmation closes. And while the larger time frames, such as the weekly and daily, look fantastic at this stage, we need to break really through this 2540 to get that proper participation for silver. This is where the action happens. Above this level here, I'm very keen to watch that and cover it here on the channel with you guys. Let's move over to Tesla. I would call this almost the community's stock because you guys love it so much, or a lot of you do anyway. 1100 resistance hit again. We've mentioned it now for 2-3 days. In fact, it might even be longer. This is the resistance that most people will need to break here to get that continuous strength in Tesla. And we've got a little bit of coiling at the peak here. So we breach through. What happens next? Highly likely it goes the distance down here, which is the double bottom, and would try to push towards those 1240 highs. So a lot of people will be watching this 1100 and 1108 area with anticipation. And if you get a little breach out, possibly we get a nice miniature rally here on the Tesla stock. Worthwhile keeping in your mind. Now Apple broke out 158 here in the post, 157.87 at the close. Fantastic movement here. We've talked about the 150 holding Apple down for quite some time. It suddenly broke out. Let's take a look at the 2 hour to show you one of the things that happened here. And it's kind of similar to our silver analysis in some ways. We had a weakening. So here's the weakening, the lower highs, and then all of a sudden it breaches those lower highs during the session. Fantastic. We get the closure. And guess what? Whether it's a rumor or some other reason, highly likely we're going to get further bullish action. And we really maintain the same thing we've always said, which is that 165 by the end of the year seemed to be in reach for a long time with Apple. It's a quality stock. And a lot of people forget that it's actually been a fairly poor investment over the last 12 months. Depending on where you purchased it, if you got the wrong price, previous Apple car rumors, let's say you accidentally got on these, 137.88, maybe that's a warning, hey? 137.88, 144. These prices, it's only up a little bit from that percentage. So it just depends on which price you get. And this shows you the power of TA. If you find quality levels like these levels here, or what we saw recently, you're getting much better price than the people buying those rumors and really getting involved in the hype train. Will we see a nice little couple of days of ramp based on this news? 165 certainly open. Let's see if we can get there. Amazon, wow, fantastic. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about technicals on this channel. Guys, you guys are big brain. I know you know. You've seen this plenty of times and fantastic work. We have the lightning bolt. We've actually got lightning bolt on lightning bolt. That's when we first got bullish on Amazon. Came off that nice support. We got bullish. We had the seasonal strength here. November, very strong to that turkey giving, the Thanksgiving in America, and all the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales that come with it. Then we move up, and of course we had the earnings that came out, and then we got that nice big bullish close here, which really began the full recovery, and we're seeing the rewards for that now. We're at about 3,700 here on the close. I hope to see all-time highs here from Amazon. I'm just guessing that maybe a 4,000 will be the next level. And part of that's got to do with how long it sat around. So if you take this big thing and you believe it's like, let's say, a channel, and you extrapolate that out, you'll actually get a 4,100 plus. Now, I think 4,000 is a bit of a psychological number. You'll notice a lot of big analysts have their numbers sitting there as well. But guess what? The analysts wrote their numbers over here. They were like, yeah, this thing's going to 4,000 over here. It didn't happen. Now, I believe it can happen. What do you guys think in the comments? Can Amazon get there? I mean, this is obviously technical analysis. It's all potential, but it's looking much better than it did. The FANG is what we want to discuss. We want to discuss these big stocks coming through. So we've had this happen before where the FANG has led, and that FANG leading led to a bit of a sell-off actually in a few times here. We got the sell-off into the 2021. We got the sell-off previously in the September area. And I don't know if it's that healthy if just the FANG is going up. This is kind of like a flight to defensive stocks. That's how some people see it. The FANG is kind of relatively defensive. Some people see it as like cash-like assets, which is crazy in my opinion. But anyway, they do. And they move into it when they're a little bit fearful about the market, whether that be shutting down certain economies. We don't want to get into these things, obviously. But these are what people discuss. And it really was just a couple of stocks that did so well through the session. That's pushed QQQ through. QQQ here, you'll notice, is at an all-time peak. Have we broken our beautiful ascending channel? We've used this ascending channel here for a long time. It's been 2021's gift that keeps on giving. But have we just breached it? Well, it can still be the gift that keeps on giving. But the reason I sigh is because let's say we get one more bull day. Then all of a sudden, you're looking for the retest of this trend line being, of course, the support that then continues it up. And I get a little sad about these things, not because I'm sad that Nasdaq is going up. You know, congrats, Nasdaq's fantastic hold. It's a great core position, I'm sure, for many people, and you guys are happy about it, which is totally fine. But I like the predictability of being in these things. It just makes it so beautiful to trade it and to make those things. So it's really now or never. I mean, it really is. Like, if another bull day, I mean, yes, it could be a false break. Some people will say that. Could be a melt up here as well, where it just continues to grind. But at this stage, you know, it's hard to deny that we're looking at that point where the market looks like it really wants to continue going up here. The Nasdaq itself, there it is, the NDX. When we get off the QQQ, it's the same thing. I just want to show you guys it because I know you both trade different ones depending on where you are in the world. And let's talk about a market sector or a market index that's a bit more interesting, and that is the IWM. So there's maybe more potential here. So we have the previous resistance highs. We've now tested that level and we've found support. We're down off the initial breakout, which we suspected always would occur. I suspected this would happen. So now we're looking for turnaround stories, lightning bolt, double bottom patterns, channels, anything that we can get around this peak to show us accumulation base to begin the next movement. And why do we like this so much? Because of course the runway for the channel is quite large. Let's just bring a percentage in here and talk about where the current price is and where the profit could be. It's about 10%. Now on an index, it's a big deal. And it's been belted. Quite a few stocks have come down. It's right around that zone. Is there potential for it to go back down here? I mean, you're always talking about stats. You're always talking about potential for anything. But if we get nice turnaround stories here, IWM could be one of those stellar indices for the next month to 2 months. Let's have a look at SPX. Still no information here about proper closeouts. While the QQQ is doing its thing, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq style stocks have bought it up, but the rest of the stocks bought it down. So we have our monthly R1. That's the dotted line here. We've got our breach level, which we know is that 47.20, and we haven't currently closed through it. 47.20 closed through. Surely that's showing another 1 to 2 days of strength at least. So really watch the S&P 500 more than anything else right now. This is the market that's showing us the true strength or weakness. It's a nice little, what you would call, I guess, bullish hammer, but it's in the middle of nowhere. Some people start to call this other candles that are actually potentially bearish, but I'm just going to go with the resistance is all key. If we do end up getting a red day and it closes underneath here, that would be certainly negative to it. I would expect us to be at the 46.40 within the next session or two. And while everyone thinks Thanksgiving is green, sometimes the start of Thanksgiving can actually be red. And we'll be doing a special video on the weekend covering our thoughts on the seasonal that is Thanksgiving. Let's get into the market, though, that's the most interesting right now, and that's the crypto market. And I've got to say, you guys in the community, we've been correct. You have been correct. Well done, guys. Well done. You had the big brains. You knew where these things were. Many people were pointing out the 1 hour here on the bottom. And I've got to say, well done, because we did predict correctly that this was not only the most important base, that we were weakening into it through a series of lower highs. Again, reading that left-hand side is really important. And we have all these rejections, but then we close through. Now, this, I'm actually surprised it didn't go even further short. And it looks like it's rolling over right now. So take a look at this little long leg doji. Decision made. Could we be seeing the beginning of that fall into the 54, 52K kind of area for Bitcoin? I'm still bullish Bitcoin, don't get me wrong. I kind of hope that this thing goes up into the end of the year, but will this be that finalized pullback? And we've talked about it a few times. We've got here the distance down. We like to see the distance down twice here, which pushes us into about a 55K. And the reason we like this is because then we can go with our ABC kind of style, which is first move, second move, and then hopefully third move up, which pushes it close to the 80,000K bracket. And really, any good Bitcoin run tends to start with a nice big crash where the whales get involved. And what's a nice big crash in the markets of crypto? Usually around 20%. And we're sitting right now at about 18.44. So between 20 and 30% is the general crash period. We've got that weekly 20 down here. We know that's been a strong buy zone. So surely that's going to be the low, you would hope. And Bitcoin could be ramping up for something big. So continue to watch that. Another thing that people ask a lot about is BTC shorts. Have we seen them come back through? We have seen a slight increase in BTC shorts, but nothing quite like the other times when the whales got involved in shorting it. They were all over it over here, whereas here, look how low it is in comparison. So just remember that's there. The rest of the coin markets are going to be dictated a little bit too by Bitcoin. Of course, Ethereum also looking weak at this stage. 1 hour 55 till the daily close, at least on this particular feed. And if it does, if Bitcoin really continues to move down, all the other coins will move down. Where's the big supports? Well, there's big supports here at 3650-ish for Ethereum. That's going to be a really cool zone should it get down there. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will be looking at this and hopefully finding bases, hopefully finding their own systems. But yeah, the crypto market's probably the most exciting right now. And that's just because there is a potential opportunity. Should you believe in it? Should you have key levels that you want to either invest or, of course, trade within? It's been some good trading in the crypto markets. The rest of the markets, kind of lackluster unless you were trading the FANG stocks. Thank you, guys. Remember to subscribe if you enjoy the video. Give us a like if you enjoy it. And comment down below for the algo. It helps us out. All right, see you in the next one. Bye for now.